Mabuhay. Welcome back to Cults and Coffee.
Yes, welcome back.
We're your AI Filipino podcasting pals, ready to dive into another deep dive on Philippine theological cults.
That's right.
You know, last time we were talking about MCGI and specifically their mass indoctrination events.
Yes.
And we left off on day 2 with Brother Eli Soriano making a pretty bold statement that a true church can only be called Church of God.
Right.
So if it's not called that well, then it's wrong.
That's a big claim.
Pretty big claim, yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to be using a source today called Part 1.1, The First Problem, Misunderstanding Isaiah 43.7.
Yes, a great source to really unpack this.
And he's basing this whole argument on this verse in Isaiah.
Yes, Isaiah 43.7.
43.7. It says this is like the ultimate proof that anything truly belonging to God has to have God in the name.
But you've been looking into this. And is there maybe something wrong with his logic here?
Let's take a closer look at Isaiah 43.7.
The phrase that Soriano keeps coming back to is called by my name. He's taking this very literally, like it's some kind of divine trademark, like a rule.
Right, like it has to be called this.
Yeah, but when you understand the context and the way that the Bible uses language, it becomes clear that this isn't about slapping a label on something.
So it's not like God is up there saying, like, must include God in the name.
No, not at all.
What's the deeper meaning?
The phrase, called by my name, it's more about ownership, representation, and purpose.
Okay. So it's more about the authority behind the name, not the actual words themselves.
Exactly. Okay. It's like a royal seal.
Oh, like a royal seal.
Exactly. Okay. It's a way of saying that something belongs to God, represents him, and is empowered by him.
Okay, so it's not like God has this rule for everything.
Yeah.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
Brother Eli brings up Israel as an example.
Right.
Pointing out that El, a Hebrew word for God, is right there in the name.
Yes.
So doesn't that support his point?
He does bring that up. It seems like a clever point at first.
Right.
But remember, Israel wasn't just a random name.
Yeah.
It was given to Jacob after he wrestled with God.
Right.
Signifying his transformation and a new relationship with the divine.
So it's more of a symbolic name tied to an event and a deeper meaning.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not like God was setting a precedent for future names.
Right.
It would be like if you aced a really tough exam.
Yes.
And your professor nicknamed you Einstein. It wouldn't mean you were actually Einstein.
Right.
But it would reflect your achievement.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
But back to Brother Eli.
Yes.
If we took this to the extreme, wouldn't we have to call everything God something?
That's a great point.
God's earth, God's animals?
Yeah.
That would get ridiculous.
It would get a little long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a very long name for everything.
Yeah, it would.
So taking his logic to the extreme really highlights how absurd it gets.
It does.
And it makes you wonder why he's clinging to this specific interpretation so tightly.
That is a great question.
And I have a feeling you might have some thoughts on that, but we're running out of time for this segment.
Yeah, we are.
So we'll have to pick it up in the next part.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome back to Cults and Coffee.
Yes, welcome back.
We're still brewing over this idea
that
a true church has to be called Church of God. And we're still using our trusty source. Part 1.1, The First Problem, Misunderstanding Isaiah 43.7.
A great source.
To guide us through this. Before the break, we were talking about how Brother Eli is using Isaiah 43.7.
Right.
Specifically the phrase, called by my name, to back up his idea, but it seems like maybe he's taken things a little too literally.
Yeah, the Bible, especially the Old Testament, it's full of symbolism, figurative language. You can't just read it like a grocery list and expect to grasp the deeper meaning.
So called by my name is more than just about the actual words.
Yes, it is.
It's about something bigger.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
If you see a package that says made in the Philippines, you know something about its origin and quality. You associate it with certain craftsmanship.
Of course. Like maybe even national pride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a mark of where it comes from, what it stands for.
Yeah.
In the same way, called by my name in Isaiah 43.7, it's like a spiritual seal of origin.
Ooh.
It signifies that something belongs to God, reflects his character, carries his authority.
So it's not about the literal name.
Right.
It's about the deeper connection.
Yes.
And purpose it represents. Okay, so if we apply that to the church.
Yes.
It's more about Its actions.
Right.
Its mission.
Right.
Its relationship with God.
Yeah.
Not just the words Church of God on the signboard.
Precisely. A true church, according to this verse, is one that lives out God's will, embodies his love, and serves his purpose.
But wouldn't some people say that the name does matter?
Yeah.
Maybe even symbolically?
Of course.
That it reinforces that connection with God.
That's a valid point.
Right.
And I'm sure for some people, the name Church of God holds deep significance and inspires a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
But the danger lies in making it the only acceptable name.
Ooh.
And excluding or condemning those who use other names, but still genuinely follow God's teachings.
It's like that us versus them mentality.
It's
that can be so divisive.
It can be. And, this whole debate makes you wonder, what was the early church called?
Ooh.
Before the phrase Church of God became so common.
What do they call themselves?
Well, they were often referred to as followers of the way.
Okay.
Or simply Christians, which literally means followers of Christ.
Okay, so the emphasis was on their actions, their beliefs, their relationship with Jesus, not a specific organizational name.
Exactly.
So this whole obsession with the exact name is a relatively recent development.
It seems that way.
It really does.
And it reminds me of something else that Brother Eli does in his sermon.
Welcome back to Cults and Coffee.
Yes, welcome back.
Before the break, we were talking about Bro Eli Soriano's insistence that a true church must be called Church of God.
Right.
And now his interpretation of Isaiah 43.7 might be missing the mark. And we even pondered what the early Christians call themselves.
Yes. Oh.
And, it makes you wonder if Bro Eli is focusing so much on the name to create this sense of exclusivity.
Yeah.
Like a spiritual VIP club.
Right.
Where only those with the right name get in.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that kind of thinking go against the message of the Bible?
Yes.
Which is all about God's love being for everyone.
Exactly. The Bible emphasizes that salvation comes through faith in Jesus Christ. Not through belonging to a particular organization or having a specific name. It's about a personal relationship. Not a name tag.
So what Bro Eli is doing is almost like he's creating a barrier between people and God.
Yeah, you could say that.
Instead of building bridges.
He's basically saying that if your church doesn't have the exact words Church of God in the name, then you're automatically wrong. And outside of God's will.
Yeah, that's a very narrow and potentially harmful interpretation.
It is a very narrow interpretation.
It makes me think about all the different denominations and churches out there. They might have different names and practices. But many of them are sincerely trying to follow Jesus and spread his message. Are we saying that they're all wrong?
Yeah.
Just because their name doesn't fit Bro Eli's molds?
That's the problem with focusing too much on outward labels and ignoring the substance of faith.
It's like judging a book by its cover.
Exactly.
You might miss out on some amazing stories and profound truths.
Yeah.
Just because the title doesn't catch your eye.
Right.
It's like saying there's only one way to make adobo.
Oh.
When in reality, every Lola has her own recipe.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're all delicious in their own way.
They are all delicious.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, dear listener.
Yes.
Here's something to ponder over your next cup of cupping Baracco.
Okay.
Does power really reside in a name? Or is it about what that name represents?
That's a good question.
Is it about the label or the heart behind it?
Yeah, think about it.
Are you putting your faith in a name?
Yeah.
Or in the God who stands behind that name?
And remember the early Christians?
Yeah.
They didn't have fancy titles.
Right.
Or worry about the correct name. They focused on living out their faith.
Right.
Sharing the good news.
Yeah.
Maybe we can learn something from that.
Join us next time for another deep dive into the world of Philippine theological cults.
See you next time.
Hanggang sa muli.